Oh, sorry. Anyway, if you haven't seen my welcome video, this is probably, I mean, my welcome video must have been how you found me. I mean, how found this Dark Knight review. Now, YouTubers, to let you know, I'm pretty happy with this movie actually. Pretty good. More violence and cussing. Um, the whole Dark Knight movie, I thought, I'm not a fan of Batman. I thought I wouldn't like it. But the thing occurred to me, it was pretty damn good, you without really stressing it. Everyone in the world says it's a pretty good movie, and Christopher Nolan is a bastard who is, the greatest screenplay directors at this moment because, you know, Christopher Nolan's a respectable director. He's very great with telling the story, and he kicks Steven Spielberg and George Lucas's ass anytime because Steven Spielberg and George Lucas are remaking their same old crap, adding sequel after sequel after sequel to all their movies. Now, Christopher Nolan, I may add, should direct another Dark Knight movie. I'm not so sure if there is going to be one. I'll search up on IMDb later. Anyway, The Dark Knight starts off, pretty mellow and tame. I thought, oh crap, people are in for a wild ride of crap. Because, at first I didn't think it was, worth it. But the first 15 minutes you got to know the characters. Um, you know, it started off with the bank robberies, the Joker, and everyone else. You never noticed the Joker until he took off his mask. And then, he robbed the bank. He got a lot of money. He succeeded. Now where's the Dark Knight, or Batman as would claim it in this whole thing. Now he's off being Bruce Wayne, you know. But after a while, you realize, the Joker's a pretty evil bastard who will turn out to be the greatest villain you could ever imagine about. Because no matter how evil you think you can make a villain, you could never make it him as evil as Joker. He's a psychopath. He's got, more reason to be a villain because he's so fucking good at it. Because the Joker is, now my most favorite villain. My other one was, anyone who had a cape on, not Darth Vader. Darth Vader can just go finger himself in the Death Star for all we care. Because I know it's kind of stupid for me to compare, the Dark Knight to something as classic as Star Wars, but I gotta be honest, I never liked Star Wars. I liked Star Trek, but not Star Wars. I know I'm jumping from subject to subject, while they're two same subjects of George Lucas versus Christopher Nolan. Now, Star Wars, I like the third one because it showed me segueing into the fourth one, which gave me reason to believe, oh no, George Lucas was recreating the entire series. No, because he went on to create, Indiana Jones, which people exaggerate as pretty bad, but I kind of put that aside. Anyway, back to Batman or the Dark Knight. You're gonna notice that more often. I'm gonna jump to subject, but that's just me. Anyway, the whole story was pretty damn good. The Joker never cared more about money than he did about, proving his point. Because proving his point was pretty much the way he did everything. In the original Batman series, I remember from 98 and 2000, when they had the Joker and, Batman vs. Dracula. They made him even more insane with even more fucked up hair. The weirder the hair, the crazier the villain is, and the Joker was no exception when Heath Ledger played it. And I never noticed Heath Ledger until he became, until I realized he was a pretty good actor. I have not seen Brokeback Mountain yet, for those of you who are thinking, but I do think, Heath Ledger should have won an award, and, Christopher Nolan shouldn't have been the one to have the ego speech. Anyway, for one, Dark Knight was pretty good. I can go more into explaining it, I will, because I gotta give you a reason why I like it. And with my voice kind of being thrown off, I'm starting to sound like the Joker for half the moment I'm noticing. Um, Anyway, the whole story goes off where the Joker robs a big bank and then has a bus crash into the place and no one suspected the bus, even though it cut away to the next scene where the bus was driving out of the bank after it crashed into the back and went into a line of school buses, which all the cars I doubt noticed. They were just on their way to work. Anyway, it cuts off to, the Dark Knight and, well, sorry, Bruce Wayne and Harvey Dent, or Howard Dent. Harvey Dent is actually the guy who plays, it shows the predecessors of Two-Face, from what I understand, because his face gets burned off later. But we'll talk about that later, because it's not part of this. Anyway, Christopher Nolan did pretty well with the characters. I gotta say that again. So it moves on, Bruce Wayne going about his business when I realized I realized that, who was it? Not Christopher Walken, but, Christian Bale was actually the, Batman. I never noticed. Really, I didn't notice the face, because it really changed a lot. Um, anyway, the story goes on. So, on goes, the business with, Wayne Industries, which I find, pretty hard to believe, because Bruce Wayne, you never see, his business. Not as the Dark Knight, but you never see what he's doing, how he got all the money. Well, he got all the money because his parents died and it was left a mansion with him and Alfred. But they never said what his business was. What, his real job was that got him the money, because the Dark Knight works for free. Anyway, it goes on, blah blah blah, party and everything. Let's see. Before I continue, I gotta explain that the whole runtime was a little long, 2 hours and 30 minutes, but it was pretty satisfying to watch without really trying to explain it. It was good. Good to settle down, but anyway, it goes on with him in the mansion where you never really see the mansion. You just see the inside of the base where Batman trains, or all his weapon and gear is, and it's really nothing much to talk about and explain it. But then I see when the next day when he's at a business or something. I'm not so sure anymore. Anyway, then out pops, Morgan Freeman's character. I completely forget his name, but he's a tech wizard and he's no villain, as usual, because, Morgan Freeman is never a villain in a movie, which I hope so, because he played God, and, he played the part of God in, Bruce Almighty and Evan Almighty. I just never seen him play the villain. Anyway, he goes on, to show that he's such a tech wizard that he can turn, a cell phone into sonar radar, which comes in handy later in the story, but I'll tell you that later. I'm checking for part 2 since it's been about 58, 8, 8 minutes and 54 seconds. I know this is going to go on for about 2 times. So, yeah, whatever.